Pinch me, I must be dreaming. Boro put 4 past Preston to win 4-0 at home and play some of the best football I've ever seen a Boro team play.
As the Uruguayan curls one in. Oh, Middlesbrough take the lead!
What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Project Boro. Today we're going to be talking about Boro's recent win at home to Preston North End. 4-0 it was, which restored Boro's gap back to Sheffield United to 3 points, given that the Blades did not play this weekend in the league and were in the FA Cup instead. But Boro welcomed a Preston North End team who, as I said in my last episode, very good form coming into this game. Found a bit of consistency, especially away from home. A very, very good side. I think they were unbeaten in their last 7 away games, or maybe it was their last 7 overall, but they'd come in with very good form. And honestly, was very nervous about this game. Not as nervous as I was when we played Stoke, but I did have a couple of hesitations that, you know, there's a possibility that Preston could cause us a few problems. And the longer the game went, the more they'd maybe have confidence that they'd be able to snatch something from the game. But from the get-go, Boro were just absolutely on it. And honestly, I mentioned midweek game against Stoke. It was a Boro side that was the most disjointed I'd ever seen under Carrick in terms of our passing. Players not on the same wavelength. But this was Boro at their best. In fact, it was better than their best. I think this is probably the most complete performance and the most enjoyable performance I've seen from a Boro side in years. And this tops the 5-0 win against Reading. You know, most of the other performances this season, they've been great, but we're going up against a team here who were in good form, a team not to be sniffed at, a team who were, you know, in a good place. And this could be a very underappreciated win, given how many goals we've put past a team who are very solid defensively. And like I say, we're in good form. And we started fantastically well instantly. The passing, the movement, it was slick, it was smooth, it was just so great to watch. And Boro took an instant grip on the game. And like they did in the midweek game, we took the lead first. And again, of course, who else but Chuba Akpom? Goal number 24 in the league now. Ridiculous. He's not even breaking records at this rate. He's just creating his own records. It's honestly amazing that he's on 24 goals, and I still continue to just be mesmerised by the turnaround of a guy who wasn't even in the plans of our old manager at the start of the season. It's mental, but an unbelievably well-worked goal. Great link-up play between Cameron Archer and Chuba Akpom. Beautiful one-touch football in and around the Preston area, and Chuba Akpom got the ball in the box. Great pass from Archer, great first touch from Akpom, and he poked it home to make it 1-0. And despite Boro's dominance, despite us looking a lot better than we did on Tuesday, I still had that little doubt in the back of my mind that made me think we would like this against Stoke on Tuesday. We started well, 1-0 up, and then we just completely dropped off a cliff. And I remember turning to my friend who I was at the game with saying, let's not get carried away. We were in this position on Tuesday, and look what happened. But we were just still in great control, had a good grip of the game. Preston did have a good spell, it has to be said. They had a good spell when we were 1-0 up. Had a few half chances, I'd say. Nothing that tested Zach Steffen too much. But, you know, despite us worrying that maybe history would repeat itself like it did against Stoke, we went in to the end of the half, still 1-0 up. And for me, the longer the game went on and Boro were in the lead, the harder it would be for Preston to get back into it. And Preston made a change at half-time, which I think tipped the game in Boro's favour. They took Ryan Ledson out of midfield and put an extra striker up front with Troy Parrott, obviously chasing the game. And them giving up a midfielder completely turned the tables and made this already a tough task even tougher for Preston North End. And once they had took a man out of midfield, Boro were allowed to just take even more of a grip on this game. And the second half performance, honestly, was scintillating at times. We were absolutely unbelievable. Like, fantastic. The control and the passing and the movement, the chance creation, the slickness of our play. We were on rails, essentially. It was absolutely unbelievable. And we got our second goal. Cameron Archer, of course, against his former club. Preston fans, do not worry. We've been there many times before, us Boro fans, when an old striker has come back to haunt us. But Cameron Archer did put Boro 2 goals ahead. Fantastic play down the left-hand side. Archer going up against a very, very big defender. Did really well, sort of dummied him into a move. Defender went past the ball. Archer cut back inside on his right foot, and it was a fantastic finish into the far corner, giving us that 2-goal cushion. And at that point, you feel like there's no way back for Preston. I felt confident at 2-0 that was the game for Boro. Preston maybe would have got 1, but I never could have seen them got 2. And 6 minutes later, Cameron Archer made it sure as he made it 3-0. And again, fantastic move down the left-hand side. Giles to Akpom, the Akpom-Archer combination, and the finish from Cameron Archer was beautiful. It was low, it was precise, it was drilled into the corner. Great connection. And just another example as to why Cameron Archer is one of the best finishers in the league. He is absolutely clinical when given the time and the space to have a shot on goal. A fantastic goal here from him. And 3-0 all but ended a game that was already completely over. But it wasn't helped by a red card for Bambo Diaby, who'd already received a yellow earlier in the game. Akpom nicked the ball, counter-attacking through, and would have been an own goal. Would he have got a... You'd like to think Akpom in the goal-scoring form would have put us 4 up from there. And maybe, Bambo Diaby, it's 88 minutes, 3-0 down. Maybe he's best to just let that one go and ensure he doesn't get himself suspended for the next couple of games for his team. But he did make contact with Akpom. I don't know if he maybe decided to bring him down when he did because it was outside the box as opposed to giving away a penalty. But he always, I'd imagine, have known... it was a second yellow card, put them down to 10 men, and Alex Mowat with a fantastic effort. He's a player who I've, not really grown to be too fond of in a Boro shirt. I think he's been quite mediocre, but he would have made up for a lot of that if he'd have put that free kick in. And I was saying again to my friend at the game, when was the last time Boro scored a direct free kick? I can't remember it. But he was so very close here. It was almost perfect. How he got it up and over from there, I honestly don't know. It was right in the top corner. It just hit the bar and bounced in front of the line. A great effort from Alex Mowat. But Boro weren't done. Still pressing for even more goals, as we often do. And it come again from the left-hand side. Again from Ryan Giles, who I think has now equalled Adama Traore's assist tally from 2018, or 17-18, sorry, and has double figures for assists this season. A great low cross. And I've got to say, Marcus Forss, the finish, pardon the pun, was brilliant. A beautiful finish from the Finn. And that finished the game, and it was a 4-0 victory for the Boro. An incredible performance. And against a very good team, like I say, we cannot underappreciate Preston. They are a fantastic side, very well drilled, very hard to break down. But Boro just got a grip of the game and never let it go. I think one of the stats I saw, which was quite a scary stat for a Preston point of view, is one of their better players recently, Tom Cannon, their forward, completed only 3 passes in the whole 90 minutes, which just shows how isolated and starved he was of chances. But yeah, from a Boro point of view, as you can see, unbelievable ratings across the board. I would have probably gave my man of the match to Cameron Archer, getting the 2 goals against his former club. 2 very good finishes. I thought he really did run the channels really well. He was up against some really, really big, tough defenders, and he held the ball up extremely well, brought others into play. Of course, Akpom is always in with a shout, as well as Marcus Forss, who started his first game for a while here and was fantastic. But, across the board, the defence, Giles, everyone, the midfield was great. And Boro were absolutely outstanding in that game, and I am just purring, and I'm still just astonished that this is becoming normal for Boro. 5 past Reading, 4 past Preston. It was once a rarity that Boro ever scored more than 3. So just to see us on 69 goals now, the second highest in the league, and playing the football we are, it is what Boro fans have dreamed of for years. Even when we were successful under Karanka, it was more meticulous, more pragmatic. Even when we were, solid in the Premier League, we were very pragmatic. But this is the most free-flowing, just eye-catching, wonderful Boro side I think I've ever seen in my life. And I was born in 96. I don't remember the late 90s Boro teams. My earliest memories were sort of the League Cup winning team and the UEFA Cup team, who of course were better teams for what they achieved, but I don't think the football was this good. So I feel confident that I'm watching the best Boro team I've ever seen, and I just don't want it to end, and I want to try and savour every moment of it, because it is honestly incredible what Carrick has done in the period and where he's took this team from where we were, the goal difference we now have, as well as our league position. It's a job that I think you see once, I don't even know how often. It is astonishing what he's done, and the result of that means that Boro do close the gap to 3 to Sheffield United. As we know, Sheffield United did play in the Cup this weekend, so they've got that game in hand once again. However, they won in that quarter-final. They beat Blackburn 3-2, which means Sheffield United have another game to contend with in the back end and in the running of this season, and it is a FA Cup semi-final against Manchester City at Wembley. So you look at the congestion of fixtures that Sheffield United have in April. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games in April. And is that even including I don't even think that's including the Manchester City game, which I think replaces the Huddersfield game on the 22nd of April. So it is still 8 games, I think, but they're going to have to squeeze the Huddersfield game in. They've also got their game in hand. I think it might be the Preston game, or maybe the West Brom game's their game in hand. So they've now got a game in hand because of the game they played today, another game in hand in terms of the fact that they've got to play Manchester City, and their focus, of course, will be on promotion. But when you've got a game at Wembley, a chance to make the FA Cup final? How are Sheffield United going to balance their priorities when it gets to that period with resting players, injuries, their focus, where's it going to be? I think that could play an interesting part come in the run-in with Sheffield United. Where's their heads going to be, their focus, their priority? It's just an extra little thing that could go Boro's way. But yeah, as it stands, the gap is 3. Results also went our way this weekend. Luton dropped points. Can't remember who it was against off the top of my head. Sunderland, of course. Our neighbours did actually do us a favour this week and drop points. Blackburn didn't play, of course. They were in the Cup. Millwall lost to Huddersfield, which was a shock. So, yeah, points went in our favour. The gap to Luton's now 3. The gap to Blackburn's 6. The gap to Millwall is 7. And we are now comfortably 10 points inside the playoffs, which with only 8 games remaining, you'd like to think the playoff place is all but secure and we can focus ahead. But the big question that I've seen is, as we head into the international break, is will Boro catch Sheffield United, and if so, when? And I can't believe this is a question. Maybe it's a bit of an arrogant question, but if we catch Sheffield United, when is the best time to catch Sheffield United? Because I just feel like the redemption arc of Chuba Akpom, the rise with Carrick, the football we're playing, and the momentum at the moment, I feel like Boro are on a crash course with Sheffield United. Now, whether I believe that we're going to catch them is another question. Whether I believe we're going to be ahead of them on the final day is another question. But I do believe we will clash at one point. And whether we are on the same points at this point, goal difference would put us ahead, which is another big thing worth talking about. The recent 5-0 win, 4-0 win. The goals we've scored recently gave us a better goal difference than Sheffield United, which in my opinion is equivocal to an extra point. So we don't have to finish above them anymore. We can finish level with them. So that's another additional thing that falls in Boro's favour. And I just feel like there's an aura of just destiny that Boro are meant to pull this off, and we're going to do it. I just have this feeling in my gut that we're going to do it. But I don't want us to do it too soon. I kind of want us to stay the chasers until the very end, and it's a risky game to play because one game on the end of the season could just flip it, and it could allow Sheffield United to crawl over the line. But I feel like if Boro can crawl past them with a game to go and we have that final day against Coventry to just get over the line, I feel like that's perfect. But if we get ahead of them too early and we become the chased, I don't know how we'll react. I don't know how we'll deal with being the team getting chased. Suddenly the pressure's on us. How will we react? And I think if they go behind us, Sheffield United, that will give them an added motivation, a new lease of life to think we're not losing out after being second for most of the season, and it'll give them that additional push to catch us. Whereas at the minute, I feel like they're a bit vulnerable. There's talk of them getting a points deduction or maybe going into administration because of financial difficulty. They're having to turn stuff off at the stadium to avoid their money dropping below the threshold for them to go into administration. It doesn't seem happy, it doesn't seem content. Sheffield United, it feels far from a stable ship at the moment. It feels like there's a couple of holes appearing and they're slowly sort of sinking a bit. Heckingbottom mentioned in midweek that they were watching Boro's game against Stoke and they were happy that we didn't win, whereas we just seem very relaxed. We're just going about our business, riding this crest of the wave, and that's going to take us, I think, inevitably onto them and overtaking them. I just hope it's not too early, because I know Boro, and even though this is a different Boro side, I just don't know how we'd react to going ahead late on the season. Maybe we'd just run away, but I just don't think we would. I feel like Sheffield United would cling on, and this will go all the way. I just feel like Boro could just nick it, but we'll see. It's all very exciting. Of course, Boro do return after the international break. 2 weeks to wait now, which I'm not too bothered about. I feel like it's, we're in good form, but we can recharge our batteries, come back. Huddersfield away is the game we come back to, heading to a team who, yes, are in the relegation zone. Yes, haven't been great. They've won 2 games since Warnock come in, but he's a former Boro manager. He could very well play a part, and it could be difficult for us, but the injury list Huddersfield have got, the form they've had, it's not good. The win against Millwall was a standout win, but they might not be able to carry that momentum all the way now with the international break. You look before that, their form has been horrific. Their only win before that was Birmingham, which is nothing to shout about, so I'm confident Boro can go there and do a job. How easy it will be, I don't know. I think it'll either be a grind or we'll absolutely walk it. But I think we will get the 3 points coming back from the international break. And as for Sheffield United, I believe they come back and play Norwich, which, yeah, it's a game that is tough. Let's not forget, on paper, this is a tough game, Carrow Road. But Norwich are a side who are so inconsistent at the minute, I honestly don't know. If they turn up Norwich, they'll get something, and Boro will close the gap. But I very much also think that Norwich could just not turn up, and Sheffield United could win. It could go either way. Like Sunderland, it could go either way with that. But, they've got a tough game coming back to go to Carrow Road. Hopefully Norwich will do us a favour there, nick some points off Sheffield United, and we will get that a little bit closer. But even then, there is still, even though it feels like it's around the corner, there's still a long way to go, in a sense. What a ride we're going to be in for come the final few games. But that is it for this episode of Project Boro, guys. If you've enjoyed it, thank you very much for watching. Do hit the like button, as it really does help support the video and the channel and helps it get found on the YouTube algorithm. Subscribe for much more content to come. I, of course, do other content here on the channel. I'm going to try and do some other football-related content in the international break. Jump back on my FIFA 23 career mode as well. And I'll also have some golf career mode coming in the next few weeks as well, which will be rather interesting. But if you do want to check out more expert punditry of the Boro games, of course, do check out the Boro Breakdown podcast. Great guys who I do work for on the podcast as well. Check them out. They're the best around for Boro content. But until next time, guys, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you all next time.